Welcome to the new Chemist. We're glad you're listening. Feel free to download this podcast on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Here on the new Chemist, we discuss chemistry, which simply put is the science of change, as well as careers, community, research, and COVID 19. We're happy you're tuning in. My guest today is Akin Ojemakinde. Thanks for joining me today. It is good to hear from you. Just briefly, I'll inform my audience about you. Akin Ojemakinde is a 24-year-old who was raised in Albany, Georgia. He is the son of Abiodun, a Nigerian immigrant, and Joycine, an African American. After graduating at the top of his class at Lee County High School in 2014, Akin became a Georgia Tech Stamps President's Scholar at Georgia Tech, where he majored in biology and fulfilled his pre-med requirements. After graduating with highest honors from Georgia Tech in 2018, Akin began medical school at Emory University School of Medicine, and he is currently finishing up his third year there. He aspires to be an orthopedic surgeon and a clinical researcher. When he's not in the hospital, Akin enjoys eating Korean barbecue with friends, watching anime, and playing soccer. Please welcome Akin.
Hey Akin, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, David.
Yeah,
Good
no
to be
problem. No problem. No problem. So, as we begin, I would like to ask, what have been your long-standing interests in the field of science?
Well, I guess since high school, since ninth grade, I knew that I wanted to either do research or go into more of the clinical side of science and do medicine and become a doctor. And I think just through my experiences with scribing in the ER and doing a little bit of research while at Georgia Tech, I think I've decided to lean further in towards the clinical aspect and go to med school and try to become a surgeon at this point. But I think I don't want to let go of the research elements. So I think my long-standing goal is to become an orthopedic surgeon.
Okay.
And then spend a little bit of time as well delving into some of the clinical research as well. So,
Okay, so just continue on that same line. What type of clinical research would you be involved in terms of the scope of orthopedic surgery? What type of clinical research would you be involved in?
so I guess I could do some prospective and retrospective studies. Right now, I can tell you what I'm doing right now. As a matter of fact, now I'm working on alongside some other medical students and a resident. Right now, we're working on a project evolved around tibial plateau fractures, where like a ballistic tibial plateau fracture, right? If you're shot in the knee area and you cause a fracture at the top of your tibia, where that kind of articulates with your femur.
Oh, femur.
Yeah, the femur and patella. Yeah. And usually they do that. They do an operation that's 2 stages sometimes, just to increase the joint space and allow swelling to happen before they go in and do final fixation. But we think that in some situations that's unnecessary and you can just go in for final fixation and go in and do one procedure and correct the fracture. And so we're just going through a bunch of previous cases that we've already done and seeing, hey, how many of these did we just do one procedure versus how many of these did we have to do 2 or 3, and what are the outcomes like? We're just comparing those to see should we voice and emphasize that we suggest there should be a change in the protocol and stuff like that. So think along that line.
Yeah, dude, that sounds interesting. Very interesting. It sounds like a comparative study. But I from what I've heard, it seems like science is definitely a passion of yours, and I've come to understand that finding your passion is definitely tied and correlated to you reaching your end goals and desired outcomes. So along that line, how do you maintain view of the bigger picture in your career and in your life in general, especially when you face obstacles and challenges, either in academia or outside of academia? How do you maintain view of the bigger picture?
I think it's a good question. I think a really good way to maintain that view is to dedicate time to to sit back and ask yourself, where am I now? Where have I been in the past, and where do I want to go in the future? I guess
Mm-hmm.
and then amongst asking those questions is thinking about why. Why do I want to? Why have I done what I've done in the past, and why do I want to continue along this path, and where do I want to go in the future? So I think like reflecting and thinking about stuff like that, and just um, I guess talking to mentors and talking to friends and like
Mm-hmm.
getting advice from them and hearing their perspective about like how you've succeeded in the past and what they think um, they where they envision you going in the future. Because sometimes you'll be surprised, like they might have completely other viewpoints and ideas and perspectives than you, and that might influence your bigger picture. Because like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, dude, that's good. Yeah, it's definitely important to think of where you have been, where you are
Mm-hmm.
now, and where you will go. I think that adds perspective to your goal setting and allows you to appreciate the things that you've already achieved.
Right.
So, I, in terms of your progress thus far, how have you been adaptive and creative in the field of science?
I think yes, the vast majority of my impact so far would definitely have to be in the research aspect. I mean, that's
Okay.
also where my creative juices flow the most, I guess.
Oh
Cause
yeah, it's good. It's good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like my undergrad research was with C. elegans. I think to categorize the lab I was with, I guess you could say was like evolutionary genetics. We were
Okay.
working with C. elegans and like
Okay.
just doing another like comparative study like against two different strains to see which one would outcompete the other
Okay.
for resources and food. And so that was a lot of fun. We had to come up with a lot of creative ways to like analyze and like just maintain the study. It was a lot of fun.
That's
But
good.
yeah, in the future, I hope to make more impacts with patients and my future patients and my clinical stuff that I'm trying to develop by being in medical school and pursuing this MD.
That's good. So I have a question along that lines. You talk a lot about research, and I know you enjoy both research and medicine. So how did you choose between going the full research, full-fledged research, and going between medicine, or you decided you're going to do half and half? How did you choose instead of pursuing a graduate degree over a medical
Uh
degree?
huh.
How did you
Good
choose?
question. Good question. Um, exposure. You have to get exposure. You don't know
Okay.
what it's like until
Okay.
you're doing it, right?
Yeah, that's
So
true. That's true.
yeah. I deliberately joined the lab I was just talking about at Georgia Tech when I was there, and I think during my third year of college, I picked up a part-time job being the medical scribe in the
Oh
emergency
yeah,
department.
yeah. I remember that. I
So,
remember that.
yep.
Yeah.
hmm So that wasn't too bad. It was just like maybe two or three like 10-hour shifts per month or something like that. The requirements were minimal. I was with Scribe America at Atlanta Medical Center, and
Okay.
so that's how I got the vast majority of my clinical experience. And I really enjoyed like talking to patients and just like I think of medicine being the like a really fun application of the science and the research that people are doing at the lab. So like
Okay.
the foundation would be the research that I was doing in the lab with the C. elegans,
Mm-hmm.
and then like the application of that ultimately would be medicine using the knowledge that we gain in research to help people. And I think I really want to be using the majority of my time applying the knowledge rather than curating and developing the knowledge, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because one things because I'm in grad school, so one of the things that stands out to me is, and I've learned this over time, is that many times fundamental research, like research with either simple organisms or unicellular organisms, prokaryotes, even though people tend to, I know a number of people who prefer to work with mammalian cells or prefer to work with human body research, but even prokaryotic research could give you insights that you could apply in other areas. So fundamental research
Absolutely.
does help. In fact, the research that I'm involved in was we're looking at the communication between bacteria and how we can inhibit that communication to ultimately uh, understand the communication better, affect that communication, and then lead to potential therapies or not antibiotics, but drug analogs and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely good to look at fundamental research. So you're at Emory, you started off at Georgia Tech, now you're at Emory. How
Mhm.
have you sought or found the right environment for you to thrive scientifically and intellectually?
Hmm.
How did you
I
find it?
think
Why did you choose Georgia Tech? Why did you choose Emory? If you to change the question around, why did you choose Emory?
I chose Emory because I think unlike other programs, they have dedicated time built in the curriculum for research. Like I think at other schools you have to create your own time. Like maybe you have like going on weekends or do other stuff. But like we have this 5 month period, up to 5 months. It can be 3 or 4 months or 5 months, but up to 5 months period within our fourth year curriculum that's called um, discovery, where we are paired up with a mentor and we do a project and like from start to finish and just we're doing nothing but that. And
Are you
I
serious?
really, yeah,
Wow,
that's
dude,
it's unique.
that sounds like a dream, man. That sounds like a
Yeah,
dream, dude. To
and so
work
that's
with.
I really like that. Like I knew whatever school I wanted to go to, I wanted to do some research, do something along those lines. And like Emory was one of the only programs that like had something like that built into the curriculum. Like I didn't have to go out of my way or spend extra time or anything like that. So that was a major selling point for me personally.
Wow, dude, that sounds good. That sounds really good. You know, I volunteered at one of the cancer clinics in Emory, Winship Cancer Clinic,
Yeah.
Midtown.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. So Emory is definitely a good school. So what about Georgia Tech? Why did you choose Georgia Tech? I know everyone has their own personal reason for why they choose Georgia Tech, but why did you choose it?
Uh, that was multifold. So I guess one reason was I guess I'm a Georgia boy, been in Georgia my whole life, and so
Okay, okay,
my
okay.
senior year of high school, I only applied to two schools actually. I applied to UGA and I applied to Georgia Tech. And having applied early, what they call early
Early
action,
action.
yeah, I was automatically in the pool to be considered for one of their scholarships,
Interest
the
scholarship.
Georgia Tech President Scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up interviewing for that, and they gave me a full ride, and so that was really strong reason why I went because I mean financial burden can be pretty high going to college, and like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, so that having that relief was really good, and also another reason why I applied to Georgia Tech is because I knew it had a strong reputation of being rigorous and challenging and like
Mm-hmm.
showing pushing you to your limit, showing you who you really are and what you're capable of, and
Mm-hmm.
having not really had that in high school and before, I was really curious about being challenged and being shown what I was really capable of, and so yeah, those two things combined, Georgia Tech all the way, no regrets.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and even though I'll say many things on this point, you know, challenges and adversity may promote more self-awareness, and that tends many people that tends to be the case. You become more self-aware as you face challenges. And at the same time, for the portion of time that I spent in Georgia Tech, I don't regret it at all because of the exposure I had to diverse faculty, the exposure I had to good research and all of those other areas. Yeah, man, I don't regret it at all. So it's definitely again a good school. So in terms of research or medicine or personal life, what have been your most effective and impactful ideas to date? What would you say
Hmm.
has been the most effective? What works best for you as a medical student? And I take it you're in your third year,
Yeah, yeah,
so you're close to the finish line. You're
yeah,
close,
yeah.
close. So
One more year.
yeah. So what has been working and why has it been working? As
I
your
guess
strategy or time management, what has been working?
for me, what works personally is making time for what's important to me.
Okay.
Like there's the amount of material that we have to cover, the amount of stuff you have to know and do is it's a lot. But you have to pick and choose what's important to you. Like if I wanted to, I could spend all day studying all day preparing for my next exam, all day preparing for my next day in the clinic, or I could do a reasonable amount that would adequately prepare me to a fair extent, and then spend the rest of my day talking to my friends, talking to my family, doing this interview right now.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Balance is key. Balance is key.
Yeah.
I think like just making the proper amount of time and proper allocation to what I think is important rather than doing what I think I should be doing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very important. Balances. And along that same line, how do you maintain your balanced life? Is it just your prioritization, or how have you been maintaining balance in your life given all your responsibilities as a medical student and all your accomplishments as a student and a former presidential scholar at Georgia Tech, all those things? How have you maintained balance?
So there are three ways. One, I like to get my work done early. Like before I do anything else, I get my work done. I like to work hard and play hard. So like in order for me to play the hardest, I like to work pretty hard and get stuff done out of the way. And then once that's done, I dedicate time to myself. And what I mean by that is I like to go on these walks. I think like almost every day I like put in my AirPods and like walk around my neighborhood for about an hour, like either listening to music, listening to a podcast, or just thinking and enjoying nature. Like I like to have personal time to reflect and like gather my thoughts and just be with myself. And then thirdly, I enjoy talking to my friends and family. They give me energy. They motivate me. They push me to work even harder, because like I'm not in this for myself. I'm in this for them too. Like my actions and the way every time I walk outside of the door of my homes, I'm not only representing myself, I'm representing them.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I could say a good bit of stuff on that. We are representations of those who have helped us and our family members. So you gotta carry yourself with pride and respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I think mindset is also very important. How you think, the concepts you allow to remain in your mind, or how you frame your day, principles, all those things are important, because when you have wrong ones, they may promote wrong lifestyles, or if you have ones that don't complement to you, they may negatively impact you as time progresses. So yeah, definitely. So in terms of academics, how have you been so successful as a student? What has been the resources you use? I've heard people talk about Sketchy and all those other things. Yeah. So, and I've heard of Notion. I don't know if you've heard of Notion. It's
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, but Picmonic. Yeah. What has been your resources that you use? Your go-to for studying, your go-to for academic success?
Okay. First and foremost, I would have to mention this software called Anki.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, ANKI. It's like spaced repetition is like the educational tool and frame that they use, where like it's basically flashcards on your computer, but like you don't have to do every single flashcard every day. They like space it out so that like it maximizes retention and memorization. I've been using that for almost 2 years now. I didn't use it in the beginning, but like it's really helped me retain information and just be most efficient in my studying.
Okay.
Like you said, Sketchy is also great. Those little cartoons that help you memorize all the drugs and all the different microbes. I still have those pictures in my memory, in my mind, and
yeah, that's good.
It's a really good tool. Those are the best ones, I think. If you use those two, you'll be set.
Yeah, that's good. So, even amidst a pandemic, how have you maintained vision and teamwork in your environment?
I mean, my vision, I don't think, personally, coronavirus hasn't changed my vision. If anything, it's strengthened me, because I think this pandemic has shown a lot of the weaknesses within our healthcare infrastructure, like the vulnerable groups that are most susceptible to this disease, like are it's showing them to light. I mean, usually they look like me, they look like you, they're African American, and they're not getting the resources that they should. And I think it's been more encouraging to me that I've been that I should strive to work in an environment that I'm especially helping them, especially helping my people, and helping them get the stuff that they otherwise wouldn't. So it's been motivational, honestly, to see the hardships that people are going through. And
it's a good perspective.
Yeah, it's providing me perspective. And I guess, what was the other part of the question?
How have you maintained teamwork?
Oh, maintain teamwork. I'm fortunate to be surrounded by great friends that are just what happen to be my my classmates, and so like we encourage each other. We're competitive. We're encouraging. We study together. We're just motivational and just being provided by like-minded people that are like also striving towards the same goal as you. That's also inspirational.
Yeah, dude. Environment does play a large role. Yeah, plays a large role in academic success, and people you hang around can influence how well you do. Yeah, dude. You know, I was reading this book on resilience by Frederick Flack. He is a former psychiatrist. I'm not sure if he's still alive. And one of the things he mentioned was, you know, having a perspective on life that offers a vital, evolving philosophy within which we can interpret all that we experience and from which we can discover some measure of personal meaning is a feature of resilience. And I think, you know, this pandemic has allowed a lot of people to show how resilient they can be, even in this challenging time. So, you know, it has allowed some people to grow, stretch, and learn new things, you know, start new extracurricular activities. For example, a number of people have started podcasting. So yeah, dude, it's definitely it. For some people, it's benefited them. So let's be even more specific. Why did you choose biology as a field to major in? Why did you choose bio? Why not chem? What's up with that? Why not chemistry?
Chemistry is great and all, but I think my love for biology started in ninth grade when I had this really cool biology teacher, and she was just, if you can ask her anything and she'll answer it. And like, she was a pilot. She got struck by lightning. She was just like an overall cool person, and I think like she just that's where the interest started. I guess like since then, I don't know. I just it was just interesting. I fell in love with it. It's good.
That's good, man. Good. That sounds really good. So this is going to be like a classic med school interview question, from my understanding of what medical interviews may be. Why did you choose medicine as a field to do your doctoral studies in? Why medicine? What was it? The patient care aspect? Was it the translational version of science or translational research opportunities? What drew you to medicine?
My uncle kind of got me interested in medicine specifically. Like, I knew for a while science, and I knew for a while biology, but then when my uncle, who's a pathologist, moved to America and had to study for like the board exams, he kind of pulled me in and like got me to help him study by like kind of being a standardized patient and like having me read some of the cases he had to know. And I just thought it was, like I was saying earlier, I really like the application of the sciences, the using what I know for other people's benefit and making an impact in their lives, but also doing something that I love. Like, it'd be easy for me to do something that only brings me joy, but doing something that can bring me joy and also impact others, that I think that's highly appealing.
Yeah, I agree. So, as we conclude, do you have any advice to those wanting to pursue the field you're currently studying in? What advice would you give someone who's pre-med?
One bit of advice I would say is definitely reach out to your pre-med or academic advisors. Definitely reach out to people who have who have gone before you, because I mean, you're not the first person doing this, and you most likely won't be the last. Like nothing, there are very few things under the sun that are new. You know what I'm saying? So there's an easy way and there's a hard way to do it. So definitely talk to people who have done things before and see what they think about what to do, and definitely talk to more than one person. That's for sure. And, what else would I say? I'd say put yourself, try different things, and put yourself in different environments. You don't have to necessarily do what everybody else is doing. Do what makes you happy, because a lot of the times, like as long as you show passion and interest, that's what a lot of people are looking for in those applications and what they ask about in the interviews. And, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always, well, not always. I'm kind of busy these days being in medical school, but I respond fairly quickly to emails and stuff. So feel free to email me, and I'm sure David can give you all my contact information. I'm willing to help.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with what you said. It's good to have not just get advice from one person, but get advice from a number of people and try out different things. I think for a number of people, I know for me personally, sometimes you are, because you're so focused on one thing, you have to evaluate, why am I pursuing this one thing? If I want to make a difference in the lives of other people, do I have to do just that one thing, or can I do something else? Do I have to pursue medicine, or when it's possible I could pursue graduate school? So I think it's just depend. You have to find out what you really enjoy and what makes you happy. So what has been some of the most beneficial advice you have received? What good advice did you get that's been keeping you through med school, up and downs, through Georgia Tech to now? What has been some beneficial advice? What has been some sentiment? What's kept you? What's the good advice that you've gotten from family, from friends, from any religious setting?
I think some really good advice that I heard was when I think early I was trying to like do as many things as I could, just to like put them on my CV, put them on my resume, just like have this long list of stuff. And somebody was telling me that wasn't the right way to go about things. Like having quality projects and quality endeavors were much more valuable than quantity. Like I could have like 100 unique things on my resume that I'm not passionate about. That would not be better than having 10 things on my resume that I could really show my interest in and really talk a lot about it and be passionate about it, and that would make me happy. So like I think there are a lot of times where like people try to do a lot of things because they think they should do it and because it looks nice, but sticking to your values and doing things that really interest you, even if it's only 2 or 3, that's much better. Much better.
Yeah, I agree. You have to, like, again, one of the things, I'm not trying to make this very religious, but one of the things that even in religious settings, one of the questions that they raise many times is you have to evaluate what's in you. What do you want to do? What are your motivations? What are your intrinsic desires associated with the actions that you take on a day-to-day basis? So yeah, man, it's not just about filling up the CV, because you can get into this habit or this pattern of, I need as much things on my CV because I want to get to this destination. But if you do 1 or 2 and you do them really well, they may help you just as good, or to the same extent as the 10 that you may have done half-heartedly. So yeah, man, I completely agree. But Akin, it's good to have you on. I'm thankful that you were able to join me today. Any last words before we conclude?
No, I really appreciate the time to come on the podcast and talk to you and talk to your viewers.
Thanks for listening. We're glad you were able to tune into this podcast. Once again, this is the New Chemist, where we discuss chemistry, which simply put is the science of change. as well as the other sciences, careers, community, research, and COVID-19. Thanks again for listening. Note, the views on this podcast represent those of my guests and I.